So let's get right into your big news of the day. You've hired a new CTO poached directly from the world of traditional tech. Tell me about your new hire and why you brought him on board.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So Guillermo Bodnar worked with me creating voice over IP back in the early 90s. And since then, he worked for Globant, which is a giant company with over 20,000 employees. And we're growing super fast. Over 800 people now at Celsius. Needed really help with technical growth, with scaling the company. And he was basically the right guy for the job. Would love working with him again. And so excited that he's part of the Celsius family.
So we've seen a lot of defections from big tech to crypto in the last year. What do you think is behind this mass migration? And are we just at the tipping point of a larger surge?
Yeah, so in addition to Guillermo, we hired two of the most senior people from fintech to come into crypto. Rod Bolger, who was CFO of Royal Bank of Canada, and Aslan, who came from Citibank. So definitely, I think you're seeing this mass migration happen because the opportunities to reinvent the future, to create Web3, to create the future of finance have never been greater, right? So I think talent is seeing that, old fintech or old tech is effectively slowing down or stalling, and they want to be part of these new opportunities.
So let's talk about Celsius specifically for a moment. How do you create yield, and how is it that by doing nothing, I can hold the USD stablecoin and earn close to 10%?
So the true value of money is actually determined by the activity, by the function that the money performs. And unfortunately, again, with banks, they do make money on your money. The banks brag to their shareholders how they make 15, 16% return on capital. They just decided not to give it to you. They take all of that and give it to their shareholders. All Celsius has done is decided that our customers are more important than our shareholders, and we give most of the value to them. And that's where we change the formula, right? Web3 is all about the community. It's all about value creation for the community. And Celsius is really leading the way with over 22 billion in assets.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds of that. How do you actually do it?
Right. So basically, we allow you to hold assets on Celsius. We have a wallet, and then we pull together, for example, all the Bitcoin. We have 150,000 Bitcoin. And then we lend that out to institutions. So large institutions, exchanges need to borrow these assets to do market making, arbitrage, or other market functions. And they're willing to pay yield. They're willing to pay a fee to borrow these assets from you. Why? Because you are taking directional risk. You, the user, are taking basically risk if the Bitcoin is going to go up or down. These institutions just need it for trading. They're willing to pay the fee. We then extend most of the fee back to the customer.
So we saw a huge rally in the price of cryptocurrencies over the weekend, and I'm keen to hear your outlook. Where are we headed from here?
So the rally is a confluence of three different things that are driving demand. The supply is fixed, right? The supply of Bitcoin does not change. 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes or so is created through mining operation. But on the demand side, again, we've seen a lot of uncertainty related to Russia and the war that's going on in the Ukraine. We've seen a lot of institutional buying, including Luna, for example, announcing that they're going to buy up to $10 billion. Michael Saylor continuing to buy Bitcoin and many, many others, right? Ray Dalio announcing he's buying Bitcoin. And then the third one is this runoff inflation and the continuous money printing from our government and from the Fed, which actually creates much more demand, or many more people are now worried about how do I protect myself against inflation, and they're choosing digital assets as the best way to get themselves some protection against monetary inflation.
Last question for you. It's looking like the biggest hack in DeFi's history happened today. Any comments on the significance of what's happened with respect to Axie Infinity?
So we're seeing continuously that there are vulnerabilities. DeFi is a very new industry, and it is the Wild West. You have to be very careful. Part of what Celsius does, for example, is by aggregating all of our users. We only deploy assets on safe platforms, DeFi platform that we vetted, that we proved to be safe from a technological standpoint. And if you just go and place digital assets on different platforms and you don't have time to do that homework, you don't have time to vet these projects, you're gonna get burned, right? I mean, we've seen the hack on Solana, we've seen several other hacks that obviously are not intentional. This is the result of just, again, new tech being tested. But also check out CelsiusX.io. That's our DeFi platform. And you can basically do similar things, but with a native minting. Instead of doing bridges and layer 2 transactions, you can do stuff natively. So there are safer ways to do stuff, but people have to educate themselves and make sure that they're choosing those safe options.